Some of your favorite self-help influencers are not helping you heal. They're keeping you stuck. They talk about growth, but sell fear. They talk about self-worth, but package it as luxury and ego. And while the message sounds empowering on the surface, the deeper you listen, the more something feels off. Hello, fellow warriors. Welcome or welcome back to the Goddess of War. Today, we're breaking down the uncomfortable truth about female self-help gurus, why we follow them, what they're really selling, and how some of their advice might be doing more harm than good. The first problem with these gurus should be the most obvious, but unfortunately, it's the most overlooked. They are worshipped for their faces, not because they say something we don't already know. Let's just be honest for a second. A lot of these female empowerment creators are popular mainly because they're gorgeous. They have perfect skin, symmetrical faces, soft voices, shiny hair. It's like watching a Disney princess give you life advice. But what would happen if they didn't look like that? If a regular-looking woman with not much genetic luck, no makeup, no Botox, fillers, or surgeries, said the exact same words, do you really think people would repost her videos with motivational music in the background? No way. People might even laugh at her and call her delusional. And we both know it. That's the problem. If these influencers didn't look like that, they wouldn't go viral for saying things we already know. They don't even need a compelling thumbnail, because they are the thumbnail. People act like they're inspired by the message, but really, they're mesmerized by the face saying it. Now, do not misunderstand this. There's nothing wrong with appreciating beauty. My point is about how shallow our society is. People don't click on these videos just to get advice. They click because they see an extremely beautiful person talking. But when we start confusing beauty with wisdom, we lose the point. And that thought leads us to the next point, which is even deeper. Beauty has become the measure of a woman's worth. There was this recent trend online after a certain famous self-help queen got cheated on. And yes, I'm talking about the wizard Liz. People kept saying, if she got cheated on, nobody is safe. At first it sounded like sympathy, but if you really listen, there's something darker hiding underneath.
I'm convinced that all men cheat at this point.
I'm seeing so many girls online right now saying that if this happens to Liz of all people, then we're all cooked, which is very valid because she's probably one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen online.
What people are basically saying is, if she, the most attractive, famous, and successful version of a woman, still got disrespected, then the rest of us have no shot. Society is implying that if someone conventionally beautiful and idolized can be betrayed, then women who don't meet those standards are, what? Disposable? Unworthy of loyalty? This mindset is dangerous because it ties loyalty and basic respect to how close someone looks to an Instagram filter. The truth is that even if you are the most beautiful and successful woman in the whole universe, that alone doesn't make you any less likely to get cheated on. Because cheating has nothing to do with you. But looks are just the surface. There's a much darker issue hiding underneath. And that issue is this. These influencers are human too. No matter how spiritually evolved someone seems, at the end of the day, they're just human, just like you and me. They mess up, miss red flags, and get their hearts broken just like everyone else. The danger is when someone starts believing they're above pain, like they're too high vibe to ever be deceived. That's when they fall into their own trap.
Now, there's one thing about me. When I try to manifest a relationship, I get it like this. Like, if a partner is like this.
You know, a lot of these people constantly talk about how they manifested everything in their life. But manifestation, as it's sold online, is honestly just fluff.
Then also, I start to think about, okay, what kind of partner do I want? And once I literally wrote down the kind of partner I want, and I had never done this before, I literally attracted him and met the exact person that I wrote down.
Now, this idea sounds too good to be true, because guess what? It is. Real life humbles you, no matter who you are. You don't manifest your way out of betrayal. You don't manifest your way to a healthy relationship, success, or money, because life teaches you the hard way. The most real, grounded kind of wisdom doesn't come from affirmations. It comes from lived experience, from falling, learning, healing, and trying again. I'm not saying this to discredit anyone. I'm saying it as a reminder to you and to myself that no one is invincible. Nobody's perfect or untouchable, not even the most enlightened ones among us. I also say this not just as advice, but as a real talk for myself too. Even I, sharing this advice, mess up sometimes and make mistakes. Sometimes I overlook warning signs I've talked about in other videos. That's because we all see the world through our own experiences, and that's totally normal. This is why we should never blindly worship or put anyone on a pedestal. Everyone speaks from their own life story. And just because someone shares advice or seems spiritually advanced doesn't mean they have all the answers or are above struggle. So it's important to filter what you hear, keep what resonates, discard what doesn't, and most importantly, trust your own judgment. We are all human, and our journeys are personal. But here's the thing. There's something even more toxic that runs through a lot of modern female self-help content. And that is that they give superficial dating advice. It's something I've noticed in a lot of the most followed voices in modern femininity. Women like SheRa Seven, MJ the Garden Fairy, even Wizard Liz. They're not the same, but they often preach different versions of the same core message. Stuff like, never settle for less luxury than you deserve. Men can't be trusted. Take what you can. Give as little as possible.
I personally could never trust a man. I've never trusted a man, ever. I've never met a man who was not driven by his lust. If I am going to enter some kind of relationship with a man, I have to be getting some kind of collateral. I use men for what they're good for. And what they're good for depends on the man. Get the man with resources and learn to love him if you must have one.
A lot of this isn't empowerment. It's fear, dressed up as self-protection. It's ego, disguised as self-worth. If you really listen, you can hear where they're coming from. Pain, betrayal, disappointment, and that's human. But again, like we said earlier, people speak through their wounds, and that's why they often end up generalizing their experiences.
But anyway, get him obsessed to give you money. He can't be a broke dusty. That's number one. You got to have some real money. You got to actually be the target. Then to go over what I said earlier in the video, you got to be about your money. That means you got to talk money, walk money, breathe money.
Think about it. If you take this mindset on and start seeing men as tools to be used, who do you think you're going to attract? Only a man with a broken sense of self. If you treat men like tools, don't be surprised when all you end up with are tools. Not a grounded man, not someone emotionally secure, not someone who's present and able to meet you where you are. Just someone who's playing the same game back. Because not all men are the same. There are real masculine men out there. Men who can control their lust, who value emotional depth, who want connection. But if you're only chasing the money, you'll never attract them. Because that kind of man isn't looking for someone who's playing the same shallow game. And truthfully, your dating pool becomes extremely limited if your only filter is rich, handsome, and single. The sad truth is that a lot of these influencers go on and on about how to get princess treatment, how to ask for money from a man, how he should spoil you like a queen, but almost never talk about what love actually is, what it feels like, how to build something meaningful with someone who actually shows up for you. And maybe that's because they've never experienced it.
I heard that you don't know how to get spoiled by a man. And I heard that some of you, and honestly, my heart breaks every time I think about this, are paying for a man.
Please don't let social media trick you into thinking that love equals luxury, that being chosen means being spoiled, because the truth is that kind of lifestyle, the gifts, the spoiling, the princess treatment, is only available to about 1% of men, and even fewer of them are emotionally mature, single, and genuinely giving. Now don't get me wrong, I do believe a man should lead, protect, and provide what he can. But here's the difference. Real love isn't just about what he gives you when everything's perfect. It's about how you show up when things fall apart. So ask yourself honestly, if he lost everything tomorrow, would you still be there? Would you support him the way you expect him to support you? Would you hold it down, even temporarily, until he's back on his feet? Because that's the line between love and luxury. One is built on partnership. The other is just a transaction. Because the truth is, most men today just don't have that kind of money, especially with how the economy is. That's why, like I've said in another video, what really matters is whether he does what he can within his capacity, even the smallest things, like driving you from point A to point B, or if he doesn't have a car, taking the bus home with you so you don't walk alone at night. He should find even the smallest ways to make your life easier. That's what real care looks like. It's not loud or flashy. It's consistent. But there's something even more important we need to talk about, and it might sting a little. These influencers teach you to not hold yourself accountable.
I don't need to bring anything else than my presence, my personality, who I am, and my beauty. I sit there and that's good enough for the guy.
While this sounds empowering at face value, don't be fooled. It's not just about what a man does for you. It's also about what you bring into the relationship, because it's one thing to have standards and another to be entitled without self-awareness. If you want a provider and generous man, that's great. I want that myself too. But make sure you're also adding value to his life in some way. You can't expect princess treatment if you behave like a peasant. For example, you can't expect loyalty if you're still entertaining DMs on Instagram from random guys. You can't ask for emotional maturity if you shut down when things get uncomfortable. You can't want a man to give you everything when you don't even treat him with basic respect. Like, how do you expect someone to appreciate you when you don't appreciate anything yourself? A healthy relationship isn't a one-way street. And love is not just about what you're getting. It's about what you're willing to build and show up for too. Bringing only your looks and personality into a relationship isn't enough. First, because looks fade, and honestly, any pretty girl can bring looks. Second, personality alone won't cut it either. You've got to show respect, loyalty, and put in the effort. So yeah, don't settle for crumbs. But don't chase empty ideals either. Don't fall into the trap of having a checklist for others without holding yourself accountable. Because the truth is that you can only ask for what you're also bringing to the table. You're a successful woman making $10,000 a month? Amazing. Then yes, you can ask for a man who's on your level. Because let's be honest, some men will feel insecure if they're not. You have a fit, healthy body? You can absolutely ask for someone who takes care of themselves too. You are loyal? You can absolutely expect your man to control his lust. But what you can't do is demand the world while offering the bare minimum. Stop setting unrealistic expectations and calling it high standards. Not because you don't deserve great love, but because real relationships are built on mutual value, mutual effort, and mutual growth. But there's an even bigger problem with a lot of these female self-help gurus, and that is that they subtly train you to see men as the enemy.
If you would like to date me, I need collateral. I need to look back on our relationship together and feel like I got something out of it for when and if you betray me and waste my time. And that is what I preach to you guys. So when people are like, oh, MJ, why is she giving relationship advice? She's not in a relationship. I don't want to be in a relationship. I sleep like a baby at night because I don't worry about some man running around and cheating on me.
A lot of this content comes from pain, from real women who've been betrayed, used, or deeply disappointed. That experience is valid, and I've been hurt a lot of times myself too. But the problem is that instead of healing from it, they build an identity around it. They start to dangerously generalize their experiences. They start feeding you the idea that all men are the same, that loyalty is impossible, that vulnerability is dangerous, that love equals manipulation or power dynamics. I also talk about the ugly side of men too, not to turn you against them, but to protect you, to make you more conscious, not more bitter. And I always remind you, not all men are the same. I don't generalize and I don't push fear, but sadly that's not always the case online. And if you keep listening without filtering, you start to believe it too. You begin approaching relationships with suspicion and defense. You're waiting for the betrayal. You believe every man is a walking red flag, just hiding it better than the last. Now I know, genuinely good men feel very rare these days, but so do genuinely good women. And honestly, we even see it in female friendships. Because let's be real, do you really believe that every woman is emotionally mature? Do you really think women don't cheat? That no woman ever plays mind games, uses manipulation, lies, or leads people on for attention? Come on. We can't pretend one gender holds the moral high ground, because the truth is that broken people come in all forms, and pain doesn't discriminate. So these were just 5 of the biggest problems with female self-help gurus. But honestly, these issues are only the surface. Because the truth is, the entire self-improvement industry has a much deeper problem. And it's not just about women or men. It's about how we've been sold the idea that we're the ones failing, when in reality, it's the system that's failing us. So if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right but still feel behind, you need to watch this video. Because maybe you're not broken. Maybe the blueprint they sold us is. It's time to unleash your inner confident goddess. See you there, warrior.